Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is deal. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you might hear deal used is in connection to card games. So this verb would mean to distribute cards in an orderly manner to the different players in a particular card game. A second way you might hear deal used is to mean to inflict pain, injury, or something else kind of negative and painful on someone or something. With this particular definition, you might tend to hear the phrase deal a blow. So I know I have seen this particular phrase and this usage used a lot describing different businesses and the challenges they've had during the pandemic, right? So you might see or hear things like this business was dealt a blow as there were lockdowns or other sort of restrictions on gatherings, for example. A third way you might hear deal used is to mean to buy and sell illegal drugs. So, maybe not something you're hearing every day, but you might hear it as you're watching a movie or a TV show. Again, if it's being used as a verb in that way, they're referring to buying and selling. You should know that deal is an irregular verb. To make the progressive form, all we're going to do is add ing to form that progressive. It's pronounced dealing. The past tense and participle forms of this verb require a spelling change. So it's going to be D-E-A-L-T, and it's pronounced dealt. Dealt. Okay. Now, there are actually a number of other meanings or ways to use the verb deal, and that's through phrasal verbs. So today we're going to focus on examining those different meanings in connection with different phrasal verbs. So the first one we'll look at today is deal in. This phrasal verb is used to mean to do business or maybe to have a particular trade. So an example of this might be, does he deal in imports or exports? So this is an example of a question in the simple present, a yes or no question. Right? I'm starting with does, I have my subject, base verb, and my preposition in here. And I'm asking kind of like, what is this person's business? Are they bringing goods into this country or are they sending goods out to a different country? A second way you might hear deal in used goes back to the first definition of this verb. So deal in could also mean to include someone in a particular card game, and you're including them by giving them cards or dealing them cards. So you might hear this particular usage in an imperative, a command. Someone might say, deal me in, right? So if I said that, I want to be included in this particular hand or this particular game. Another phrasal verb you might hear is deal out. This can also have a couple different meanings. The first is to give something to an appropriate person. An example of this, the judge dealt out the harshest sentence to date. This sentence is an example of the simple past tense, and what it's suggesting is that a judge sentence a particular person who was convicted of a crime. So that's what was given, the length of time in prison. A second way you'll hear deal out used is again back in connection with card games. So if someone does not want to be included, they want to be excluded, then you might hear this imperative again, deal me out this hand, right? I need to take a break. Maybe I'm making a phone call or doing something else for a period of time, but I don't want to play this particular hand. Now let's continue looking at a few more phrasal verbs. And actually what we're going to do is really focus on deal with. This might be the most common phrasal verb used in connection with deal. It has 5 different ways to be used. So we'll look at each one. The first, deal with, can mean to take action. An example of this might be, how are we going to deal with this problem? Right? So this is a question for the simple future, and someone is asking sort of what action are we going to take to fix the problem that we have. A second way you might hear deal with used is to mean to be the subject matter, to be the topic of something. An example of this film deals with climate change. So the subject matter is climate change. In this sentence, deals with, this is another example of our simple present. A third way to use deal with is to mean to punish someone. An example of this, go to the principal's office and she will deal with you, right? So this might be a sentence a teacher says to a particular student. Will deal with you is, again, another simple future example here. And the teacher is suggesting the principal is going to punish this particular student for whatever misbehavior might have been going on. A fourth way to use deal with is to mean to behave in a certain way towards others. With this particular definition, many times you're going to see the adverb fairly. So might be talking about how one person deals with or behaves towards others. And again, kind of the focus is usually, is it fairly done or unfairly done? So another example here, we've got the question, how does this company deal with its customers? How does it behave towards them? How does it treat them? This question is another example of the simple present. The last way we could use deal with is to refer to doing business with someone or some group of people. An example of this, our company deals with local suppliers and manufacturers. Okay, so this person is saying, right, we focus on local businesses. We do business with other local organizations. This sentence is another example of the simple present, right? So I'm describing facts, which is why I think you see so many examples here in the simple present. Now, let's spend just a couple minutes looking at some words that are related to our verb deal. The first word we're going to look at has the exact same spelling and the exact same pronunciation. It's just the noun form of this word. And like our verb, which has many different meanings or ways to be used, our noun deal also has a number of different definitions. We're just going to focus on 5 today. The first way you might hear deal used as a noun is to refer to a considerable amount of something. And with this particular usage, you're generally going to hear the phrase a great deal of, right? And you can see that in my example sentence here. Did you get a great deal of snow last week? Okay. So someone's asking, did you get a considerable amount? A second way to use the noun deal is to refer to the situation or the state of affairs. This could be in regards to a situation, could be about a person. You can see that in this example question. What's the deal with him, right? What's the situation, maybe what's going on that is causing him to behave in a certain way. A third way to use the noun deal is to refer to an arrangement about action to be taken. So an example here, the parents made a deal with their children. If they behaved, they would get ice cream. So this is an arrangement. They have provided maybe some rules. This is what we expect. If you do these things, you will get something in return. A fourth way we can use the noun deal is to refer back again to card games and the process of distributing cards two players for a particular game. So if you're playing this game, maybe you take turns with that responsibility of passing the cards out. So you might hear someone ask the question, is it my deal? Is it my turn to deal the cards? Is essentially what that means. Yet another way to use the noun deal is to refer to an agreement between two or more parties for their mutual benefit. Here's another example sentence for us. The athlete signed a new deal with her sponsor. Okay? So many companies like to associate their products with professional athletes. So this is what this sentence is describing. The athlete sees benefit. You're going to pay me, and I'm going to tell people I use your product and it's wonderful, right? So the company sees a benefit. So in this situation, they are the two parties who have made an agreement. Our last way to use the noun deal is to refer to an attractive price or bargain. Here's another example of that. That store has great deals on winter coats, right? So many people looking for heavier, warmer coats for the winter right now. Someone is suggesting this particular store maybe has them cheaper than others, or they have really good prices for the quality of coat. The next related word we're going to look at is the noun dealer. So again, still connected to card games, we can use this noun to refer to the person who is distributing the cards at the start of a game. An example of this, if you go to a casino, we might have a professional person, right? A person whose job is to distribute cards at a game. And they might say the dealer won the hand, right? So the person who's passing out the cards, that individual won. A second way to use the noun dealer is to refer to a person or a business that maybe buys and sells goods, or they buy and sell securities or some other type of commodity. An example of this, let's visit a few car dealers this afternoon. Right? So maybe we're looking for a new car, right? So we're going to go to a business that sells cars, a car dealer or dealership. I'm going to leave you with one phrase, and that is big deal, right? So sometimes you might hear this referring either to something or someone that is considered to be important. Now, sometimes this phrase is used kind of sarcastically, right? So my example sentence here, he thinks that he is such a big deal, right? Based on the tone or the way I say that, I might be implying he thinks he's important, but he's not, right? So sometimes, though, you will hear others or maybe events being described as a big deal, and it's done so sincerely. And again, the idea here is to stress its importance. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.